We start with the latest developments at the Rafah crossing in southern Gaza, where the first ambulances carrying the wounded from Gaza are entering Egypt. Take a look at these. These are pictures showing these ambulances coming through. It's thought 88 injured Palestinians and around 500 foreign nationals will be allowed out in the very first phase of this movement out of Gaza into Egypt. The UK's Foreign Office says it understands the Rafah crossing will be open for controlled and time-limited periods to allow specific groups of foreign nationals and the seriously wounded to leave. In the meantime, Hamas says that 7 of the civilian hostages it took from southern Israel last month were killed in Israeli airstrikes on the Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza on Tuesday. It says 3 were foreign passport holders. Israel hasn't commented as yet on the Hamas claim. Well, meanwhile, the Israel Defense Forces have released this footage of warships with missile capabilities in Red Sea, which they say are there to strengthen defense efforts. Well, for more on this developing story, let's cross live now to our correspondent in southern Israel, Anna Foster. Anna.
Mariam, thank you. It's been a morning where we heard really in the early hours that the Rafah crossing was expected to open for around about 80 seriously injured Palestinians and several hundred foreign passport holders to actually pass out of Gaza into Egypt through the Rafah crossing. Now, it's worth saying that this is something that has been discussed more than once, and there hasn't been an evacuation of this type so far in this more than 3.5 weeks of war. The only people we've really seen leave Gaza have been 4 hostages who were released by Hamas and 1 Israeli soldier who was said to have been rescued in a mission there a few days ago. So we watched this morning as crowds of people gathered on the Gazan side of the crossing. And again, it is a slow and often painstaking process. We saw the ambulances lining up waiting to take people. And as is so often the case with this, it's such a fast-moving story. We also had communications that were lost again in Gaza in the last few hours. So really trying to piece together how many of those people were going to be able to leave. There is a list that has been published, and it was published and finalised before now, of foreign passport holders whose names and nationalities had been checked, and they were told that they would be allowed to leave. And we've heard from the UK Foreign Ministry just in the last few hours that they believe that that is going to happen in a staged process over a number of days, but details are still really very thin at all. And what we're not seeing just yet, and that's not to say it won't happen, but what we're not seeing just yet is large numbers of people actually through that crossing on the other side. Now, our correspondent in Gaza, Rushdie Abu-Alouf, is on the Gaza side, and we'll hear from him, and also as well these live pictures to bring you from my position here in southern Israel, where you can see these continuing strikes over Gaza. You can see smoke in the air. It is one reason why people are, of course, trying to leave Gaza in numbers, and Rushdie Abu-Alouf gave us the latest from there, from his side of the crossing this morning.
This is the Rafah crossing. Around 500 people are waiting here to cross. This is the first people who have dual nationalities, and they are waiting for the Egyptian to allow them to cross. I have met the 5 officers, passport control officers, who are inside now the Palestinian side of the terminal. They said they will process first about 88 injured people with serious injuries. They will process them first, and then they will start allowing nationals. We understand from local authority here that about 7,000 people who are registered as dual national in Gaza, and they will be allowed to cross into the other side of the border to the Egyptian side, 500 per day. So this process is going to be long, and it will take time. And but until now, in the place here in Rafah, we haven't seen any police, any Hamas-run police controlling the area. We haven't noticed any problem yet. The crowd is still small, and they are relatively manageable. They are waiting in this hall here. The terminal is in this side. So once the Egyptians are call the Palestinian side, they will be crossing into the other side of the border. This is a very significant development, given that the crossing was closed, totally closed, since the beginning of this war. It was open for 2 days in the beginning, and after that Egypt shut the crossing because they said Israel bombed this hall, we were able to see some footage about the damage. We understand that some heavy machinery were inside last week and about 10 days ago. They were fixing the damage there. Today is going to be a test for this corridor. Egypt wants to take as much wounded people as possible to help the Palestinians getting treatment in Egypt, because the hospital in Gaza are overwhelmed by the number of casualties and the shortage of fuel and medicine.